Hey everybody, it's Tasty Thursday. We're traveling again today. Now today we have a guest host, so I really don't have to do much today because our guest host makes the entire recipe, which is pretty cool. You will see taste tester at the end because we have to have somebody to taste test the wonderful creation. So let me tell you just a little bit about our special guest today because she has some really interesting things to share about her native country of Cyprus. Our special guest host is a teacher friend of mine, and she was really excited to share some information and some of the culture of her native country of Cyprus. And you've actually met her husband already. Her husband is Jesus from our Venezuela video. So just a little bit of connection there for you. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Maria, and she's going to make our fabulous Cypriot dish today. And then we're going to come back and have Taste Tester test it out for us.
Kalimera. In the island of Cyprus is where I'm from. Yes, I have an American accent, but my name is Maria, and the majority of the people in the island of Cyprus are named Maria. Of course, in my culture, we have many names. For example, my first name is Maria Christina, and I take my middle name as my father's first name. And then the rest of my name has many meanings to it too. So I had to write my name in several languages when I was growing up. I had to write it in English and I had to write it in Greek. Now, the island of Cyprus is in the Middle East, which is below Turkey and is also near Greece. So if you say that it is near Greece, but it is in Europe. Many people get Greece and Cyprus a little confused because people from Cyprus do speak Greek, but it's called Cypriot Greek, and they more like it, call it like Southern type Greek. Like down here in the south of Tennessee, we say certain words that they don't say up in the north. So they make fun of us, some certain words that we say. So people in Cyprus say words too that Greeks make fun of us for doing that. A little bit of background is I was born shortly after the war between Turkey and Cyprus ended in 74. I was born in 75, but I came here as a small child with a green card, and then I became an American citizen when I was 3 years old. Even though I do have an American accent, both my parents are from Cyprus, and they had very strong Cypriot accents. Growing up, it was living a Greek life in the American community. And by me saying that, I had to go to my mother's Greek school every Sunday at my house and learn Greek. So when I say Kalimera, that means good morning, and good night means Galinika. So when I first approached you and said Kalimera, that was good morning. So when someone comes to your home and you see them, you say Kalimera or Galinika or Botise. Botise is how are you? And growing up, I grew up in Virginia, going to Greek school at my mother's home, and of course, if you've ever seen the movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, that is the story of my life, and no joke to that. As I grew up, learning Greek, I did eat Greek food, okay? And one of those Greek foods was called moussaka, which is the eggplant with tomatoes and onions, and of course, I was very embarrassed as a child growing up, because everyone would have their ham sandwiches and their little Debbie Twinkie cakes. What did I have? I had the disgusting looking Greek food. So I was quite embarrassed growing up, very embarrassed to open up my lunchbox. Many days I did not eat my lunch. But I want you to know that no one makes fun of me now because everyone wants to eat my Greek cooking. So a typical day in Cyprus with our meals, because now we're talking about food, is in the morning you wake up and you can have eggs, you have halloumi, which is kind of like a Greek goat cheese, and you can fry it or you can put it in the oven and broil it with a little bit of mint and olive oil, and it's very good. You just wrap it up with aluminum foil and you put it on broil, and once it sizzles, you can eat it just like that. Also, we eat olives. You can eat green olives or you can eat Kalamata olives. So that's our typical breakfast. When it comes to lunch, that is our largest meal of the day. And we eat a variety. I don't know if you've heard of pasticcio, but that was one of the famous, it's kind of like lasagna as to what we eat here, except it has long, tubular noodles. And it is made with, of course, tomato sauce, a little bit of cinnamon, yes, cinnamon, but it's really good, with ground beef. And then the top is called bechamel. So if you want to learn more about that, I'm sure your parents can look it up on the internet. It's quite hard to make, but it's so delicious. And the trick in that is the bechamel sauce, which is milk, a little bit of flour, and some nutmeg. So you can look into that recipe further if you would like to make that. Then at lunchtime, everybody comes home from work or school and they have lunch with their families, and then they have like a 2 to 3 hour siesta. And then after that, everybody goes back to work and they work till maybe 6 or 7 at night. And then at night, we have dinner about 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And that is a lighter meal. So you can see that lunch is the most, the biggest meal of the day. Also, a few things throughout me growing up, I had a godmother, and godmothers are very, very important, or godfathers are very, very important in our culture. And I brought you some examples of some clothing that my godmother knitted for me when I was a little girl. So I wore these little dresses, and I wore the little shirt here, which is like a typical little Greek shirt that little kids wear. And if you ever go to a Greek fest that is in your town or near your town, you will see many people wearing this type shirt. Back in the old days, they used to wear shirts like this all the time. And we also like to dance, of course. That's another thing I like to add is what kind of party people. We like to dance. You've probably heard of at Greek weddings, we throw napkins up in the air, or we throw plates and crack them. Yes, that is true. I have had a big fat Greek wedding, and it was in Cyprus, and I had a wedding, but the tavern, unfortunately, did not let us throw the plates on the ground because we would have to pay lots of money. So we threw napkins, which was just as fun. So that is just a little bit about my culture and my American accent and why I may look a little Greek, but I was very cultured growing up. And sometimes my husband says, Maria, you're so dramatic. Quit being so foreign. But he's a foreigner too, which I'm sure you saw his video, and he's from Venezuela. So there's just a little bit of a little recipe I wanted to do for you today, and it's called Tzatziki sauce. Now, Tzatziki sauce can be placed on chicken, beef, and of course, we love our lamb, especially at Greek Easter, which is our largest holiday that we celebrate during the year is Easter, which is the resurrection of Christ. And the Tzatziki sauce can also be just put on plain rice if you want. I mean, it's so delicious. And these are the ingredients for the Greek Tzatziki. You need just a container of low fat yogurt, which I said non-fat yogurt because you don't want the yogurt to be full of fat and stuff. And I said Greek style. Now, it's important to get Greek style. If you cannot find Greek style yogurt, you would have to get like a cheesecloth to drain all of the excess water out of the yogurt, because Greek style yogurt doesn't have a whole lot of water in it, so it's better when you make it. Also, you have a cucumber, and you cut it in small pieces, and then a pinch of dried mint, a tablespoon of olive oil. Now, you might want a little bit of more olive oil. Another thing about Greeks is people ask us all the time, what's your recipe for this? Or what's your recipe for that? Well, really, we just make it by what we feel. We need a little bit of this or a little bit of that. And so that's why I write a pinch of this or these tablespoons. I mean, it's up to what you like to taste. And I said 1 to 2 tablespoons of minced garlic and then a pinch or 2 of salt. So it is whatever you would like to taste. So I'm going to show you real quick as to how you would make this. And first you would just get a small glass container, and you would get your Greek yogurt, and you'll put it in the container. And as you see, this is a little watery. So even with this Greek yogurt, you still might want to strain it a little bit, but that is up to you. You might have, because it's maybe been out of the refrigerator for about an hour, hour and a half, and it kind of liquefied a little bit. So you get your yogurt, you put it in there, And then put a little bit of salt. And then you can cheat with the garlic. Now, when you're in a hurry, I like to cheat a little bit, but that's okay. You can get the real garlic if you want and mince it yourself, but this will be just as good. And then a little bit of olive oil. And then your mint. Now, the mint, you can get it in the grocery store, but it's quite expensive. Now, as Greeks, we like to have our own little garden growing outside. My mother does grow the mint, and as you see, it's dried, and you just kind of just crumbled up a little bit with your fingers to give it a little bit of taste. And the best thing to do is to eat it a day or two later, because the garlic will allow itself to kind of go into the yogurt. All the ingredients, the salt and everything gives it more taste. So you want to at least give yourself a few hours. If you're having friends over, or you just want to make it just for fun for your family, just make it a few hours ahead of time, and then you can serve it at that point. Now, of course, you can eat it at any time, but just for the best flavor. So I'm going to show you, right here, you cut your cucumber up, and you have to kind of cut it in pieces, as you can see, in small little pieces, because you're going to put it on top of your meat, or whatever you choose to put it on top of. And so you're going to cut it like that, and just put it in here. And so you're going to get a full cucumber. Now, of course, this container is not a large container. It's a smaller container, so you might want to use maybe half of a cucumber. So as you see, as Greeks, we just kind of go with our feeling as to what we think it needs to be. I know some people really don't like cucumbers that much, and my husband being one of them, but if I cut them real small, he doesn't even know they're in there, and I don't put the whole cucumber. So I want to thank you for being a great audience and watching me, and I hope that you've learned a little bit about my culture. And if you have any certain questions, you can ask your Aunt Liz, and I will be more than happy to answer your questions. Adios.
Okay, wasn't that awesome? I love learning about new cultures, and Maria had so many interesting things to tell us about Cyprus. What would you think if you went to a wedding and people started throwing plates or napkins? That's very different than what some of us are used to, isn't it? But it's all part of another culture that is exciting to learn about. So we have our tzatziki sauce here, and we're going to have Taste Tester give it a try. Now, Maria suggested one way to eat it was over grilled chicken. So I've grilled a chicken breast for supper, and we're going to put some of the sauce on it and see what Taste Tester thinks. I bet he's really going to like it. Okay, so now another thing that Maria told me is that this sauce is really best after it sits for a day or two. So this has been sitting in the fridge for about a day and a half. So we're going to go ahead and just put this right on the chicken. And you can see the pieces of cucumber in there that she chopped up. So this is it. We're going to get Taste Tester a fork and let him give us his opinion on our tzatziki sauce from Cyprus.
Bring your family and friends.
Aunt Liz TV!
She's a magician in the kitchen.
Aunt Liz TV!
Watch it on Mondays and Thursdays.
Aunt Liz TV!
Cooking yummy foods and tasty treats.